Story 1. He started a technology company at 18, sold it for millions in his 30s, and continues to live a good life focused on helping others. He is a good man. Story 2. Living off the grid on a farm, last I heard. She had to shut down half her brain to talk with most people. She was not able to get along well in society. Story 3. Funny enough, my best friend in the group was the valedictorian. He was drafted in the second round of the Major League Baseball draft right out of high school and had a 15-year career in the major leagues. He wasn't a superstar, but he made a lot of money. He is now the head baseball coach at our old high school. He earned his degree online while playing baseball. Story 4. I love sharing this. This person lived in a caravan park and, to my memory, with his grandparents, but was always the smartest person in my entire year. He ended up as a director of Nokia when it was breaking ground in the industry, part of various startups, an advisor to at least 2 governments, considered a global leader in his field with a Master of Business Administration, Doctor of Philosophy, various fellowships, published books, a couple hundred published papers, cited in thousands of papers, university professor, and developed some world-first artificial intelligence platforms. He was a nice person in high school. I hope he enjoys all his success. Story 5. They are homeless. They struggled to fit into society. They couldn't hold a job or interact with anyone. He sued the city some years ago and won a large settlement. My guess is he lives off that. You can't tell he is homeless. I think being smart can reach a level where it is no longer good but harmful. Story 6. It was me. I accomplished nothing in life and am pretty much an average person. No major drug addictions or vices, thankfully, which sets me apart from my friend group, which was filled with pathological liars, drug addicts, thieves, and at best, miserable two-faced people. Story 7. 2 come to mind. Both were academically very accomplished in high school. One is a hedge fund manager and the other is a college professor with a medical degree and a doctorate. Most of the students I knew who had good grades did very well for themselves. The underachievers ended up where you would expect. I was a below-average student and ended up with an above-average career, so I think I beat the odds. Story 8. He is a mathematics professor at a major university. He took advanced mathematics, including theoretical calculus, at one of the best universities in the country when we were in high school. I always expected him to be a professor of mathematics. He was very intelligent and always calm. Story 9. He went to prison for a few years for identity theft. After he got out, he said he was moving to Asia to give up all his possessions and try to become a monk. Story 10. Hi, it's me. I dropped out of college, was a stay-at-home mom for years, went back to work, and I'm going back to school this fall. Untreated attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is challenging. I went to school in the 1980s when attention deficit hyperactivity disorder was not diagnosed in girls. Story 11. She is amazing. She recently retired from a career as a physician in emergency medicine and is still doing some teaching at an elite university. She does all kinds of humanitarian work on the side. She is happily married to a successful fellow physician. They have 2 fantastic, highly accomplished adult children. She is the whole package. Smart, kind, beautiful, passionate, and funny. Story 12. Studied mechanical engineering, completed a music course, then returned to engineering and is now a service engineer. Story 13. She ended up getting pregnant her senior year of high school, which curbed her plans for college. Now it is retail work and parenting for her. I am actually proud, though. She was so dedicated to her schoolwork and academic future that no one would have ever guessed she would have followed through with her pregnancy. Side note. She made around $1,000 for me her junior year doing my homework and other class assignments. Story 14. She got pregnant with twins. Once they were old enough to go to school, she went to college. She recently graduated but cannot find a job, so she cleans houses. She still excels, though. Story 15. My husband is the smartest person I know. He was in the gifted and talented program and graduated with honors. He grew up in a rough environment, with an alcoholic father and a gambling addict mother. He had to help with his grandfather's business and farm, so he hardly had a childhood. He spent his summers working on the farm and likely had an untreated heat stroke at one point. He would occasionally miss school to work as well. Any free time he had, he spent playing games, which is a huge passion of his. Everyone had high expectations of him. He has tried several times to go to college, but in my opinion, he wasn't prepared for the hard work it requires. Also, he doesn't really know what he wants to do. He's not passionate about anything other than our family and playing games. Thankfully, he has been able to work his way up in the company he works for. Because of his experience speaking to people through his grandfather's business and his high emotional intelligence, he has excelled at networking and making friends. People always tell me how amazing he is. Older women especially love him. Some have even come to me crying because he has helped them so much in their lives. He used to work in human resources. So while he never went to college, he is doing quite well. I know he feels like a failure, but to me, he's the most amazing man ever. Our kids feel the same. He has a childhood friend who has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and dyslexia. Grew up without a father and faced other family challenges. He worked hard and put himself through college. Now he is an engineer with a wife and baby. The smartest person doesn't always go to college, make a lot of money, or have a high-profile career. That doesn't mean they aren't successful in life. I know many unhappy people who went to college and make a lot of money. They are still miserable and have troubled home lives. Also, gifted and talented people are more likely to suffer from mental illnesses like depression and suicidal thoughts. Our oldest son is in the gifted and talented program. He's only 8 and already a very sensitive child. I worry about him. Check on your smart friends, too. They may be suffering more than you realize. Story 16. He is a millionaire because he bought Bitcoin at the age of 15. He is 28 now. He tried to convince my parents that cryptocurrency was the future, and they told him that was the most foolish thing they had ever heard. Story 17. Life did not go the way he expected. He discovered his job was never going to help anyone and only force products on people that they did not want. He started pushing back, lost his job, and could not hold any others. A string of failed relationships followed, and he went further into negativity. He was my best friend. I have known him since we were 7, but we have fallen out of touch because I do not know how to talk to him or deal with his constant negativity. Story 18. I do not know where they are now because high school was a long time ago, but the smartest student in our class became a literal rocket scientist, so I assume it worked out. Story 19. Doing really well. Happily tenured at a good university, happily married, just bought a house, and the best part is that we talk almost every day. I am so happy seeing all her accomplishments. I knew she would do well in life, and I am so happy to have been here for every step of it all. Story 20. He ended up as a department head in a law practice with a lovely house in the country, a wife, and 2 decent children. I am really happy for him, but I feel the economic gulf between us has widened to a point where we are drifting toward different things. That makes me sad some days. Story 21. Single, recently diagnosed with depression, although the rest of the friend group think it is actually borderline personality disorder. Does not have the ability to be accountable for their actions and always blames someone else. I guess that is what happens if you are used to always being number 1. Story 22. It was me. I did not graduate college and was often stifled by anxiety. I never partied or had boyfriends like others did. I was socially awkward and kept to myself out of fear of rejection by people my age. Eventually, I ended up in an abusive relationship for 7 years. Now I am free, still a college dropout, and have a very loving, wonderful partner. The main and proudest point I have between me and them is that they all became supporters of Make America Great Again, and I did not. At least there is that. Story 23. The valedictorian is a part-time mathematics tutor, and she was the master of ceremonies for the circus in which her daughter performed, so she is literally a clown. Story 24. He has a job working with computers for the Department of Motor Vehicles. He divorced his first wife and married the nanny. She is now in a wheelchair, and he attends to her every need with love. I have invited him to join our class group online, and we are better for it. He never could tell a joke. He keeps quoting Monty Python, which is a minor joke among us. Story 25. Struggling, unfortunately. I don't think she ever finished an undergraduate degree. I believe she completed an associate degree or certificate. She had a stable job for a few years, which I estimate paid between $45,000 and $60,000 annually, but she was recently dismissed. She has not found a life partner. I'm not sure if that is still something she desires, but it had been for some time. I feel sad when I think about her, and I miss her. She has struggled with depression. Story 26. She is a board-certified plastic surgeon now. So proud of her. Cocaine Barbie to doctor was an incredible turn of events. We joke about it more than we should. Story 27. There are two candidates in my friend group. One worked for a software startup after college that was acquired by a larger company, which was then acquired by Amazon. He retired in his early 30s from the restricted stock units for staying on through the acquisitions, plus his first round of Amazon shares vesting. He now spends his time fishing with his kids. The other is a geologist who worked in mining for a while, retired in his early 30s, worked at a local bike shop, got bored, and now works as a geologist for the state. Story 28. He is me. Dropped out of school due to struggles with focus and undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Learned a trade before suffering a career-ending spinal injury. After a long rehabilitation and recovery, retrained for a new career and is now doing very well. Along the way, got married, had children, and went through a long and difficult depression. Life is good now and would not change any of it. No longer friends with anyone from the school years group and would not waste time trying to find out what happened to them. Story 29. He was running a company by 24. 10 years later, he stepped down due to burnout. Interestingly, he was not paid as much as one would assume a chief executive officer would make, but made very timely investments into Nvidia and Bitcoin that made him a millionaire. For the past year, he has been binge-watching television shows and interacting with people on Reddit to pass the time. He also responds to occasional questions like, "How did your smartest friend in the group end up in life?" Story 30. Nearly abandoning his doctorate in astrophysics because he did not find it challenging enough, he kept his mind occupied by designing software for use by the oil industry in exploration. This software became industry standard, making him extraordinarily wealthy in his mid-20s. He remained just as kind and charming. Story 31. Hard to choose one. Mine are all so uniquely brilliant. One is an apparel designer after a long career in New York, with twins and a husband she has loved since she was 14. Another is a successful artist living in Rome. Another works in public health. I could go on. I am so proud of my people. Story 32. Alcoholic with a useless degree in history. I really feel bad for them. With their academic performance, they could have gotten a useful degree at least and made good money. Pick a job you like and you won't have to work a day in your life. My ass. I occasionally help them out financially when I meet them because it is just such a pity. So much wasted potential and not by their own choice either. Story 33. We are all intelligent. I ended up dropping out and was diagnosed with psychosis. Another person is pursuing a doctor of philosophy and a master of science at the same time. Another individual is a doctor of philosophy candidate and a research assistant. Story 34. My friend group has shifted over the years. The smartest one is a certified financial planner. On second thought, I was not in the obstetrics and gynecology social network. I know her through my mother and the certified financial planner. Story 35. Last time I talked to him, his family moved back to his home country, and he was hoping to save money for university. However, that conversation was years ago. It really shows how blessed I was to continue university with only minor delays, such as a gap year and a foundation year. Story 36. Studied journalism, worked as a researcher for television, recruited to network headquarters in New York City, and was an early victim of human immunodeficiency virus acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Story 37. I had a cousin who we all thought would definitely make us proud. She was a super nerd and generally a good girl. During her senior year, I believe she and some of her friends decided to smuggle people across the border into the United States. They got caught and served jail time. My aunt and her husband almost went bankrupt because of it. Now, she has 4 children, one of whom is not hers, 2 fathers of the children, and her new boyfriend is an up-and-coming rapper. Story 38. Had a breakdown after using acid and has been schizophrenic for 10 years. He is now living in his parents' house, talking about fighting off demons that want to take him away from Christ. He actually thought he was Jesus for a little while and believed that Lil Uzi Vert, the Antichrist, was coming after him. This was when that strange conspiracy was still somewhat popular. Story 39. My best friend and I were fairly competitive in middle and high school. I studied physics, and she achieved unexpected success as a Roblox YouTuber and streamer. She is now buying her first home. Story 40. He is involved in many activities from college and now lives outside the country. I think he is happy. Story 41. Enlisted in the Navy after high school. Advanced to rank E8. Served for 30 years, retired, and now works for the National Security Agency. Story 42. It can go either way for intelligent people. Intelligent individuals tend to be more neurotic than people of average intelligence, which can lead to complications. Story 43. I have a great wife and children, and I am quite wealthy. I am loving life. My work is something I am passionate about, but I also have plenty of time for hobbies and family. I could not ask for more. Story 44. I was the person. Many things went wrong, but I am doing well now. Most of my friends had a much better and easier experience. Story 45. He is the most brilliant musician I have ever met, but he is still a broke, starving artist because apparently nobody cares about talent in music anymore, and nobody is willing to pay for music. There is no money in that line of work. People are willing to pay $60 for a single video game but will not pay 99 cents for a song. Musicians are struggling, and it is tragic. Some of the most skilled artists still cannot make a living. Story 46. She earned a Doctor of Philosophy degree in genetics and moved to the United States to work at a company in New York. We are Canadian. She is constantly promoted. She has always been intelligent, as well as one of the nicest people you would know. She remains kind and caring. Story 47. The smartest one is living with his parents at 34, not because the market is tough, which it is, but because he cannot function well enough as a person to exist in society. The wisest one is a cattle rancher in Texas and is doing rather well for himself. The luckiest one was born rich and is an unpleasant person. Story 48. Doing a PhD at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology Zurich. To be honest, yes, she was smart, but she was also hardworking and dedicated regarding her career and goals. Story 49. Studied at Oxford and Cambridge, became a neurosurgeon. Absolutely the smartest person I have ever known and also a genuinely kind person. Story 50. Pursued tenure at Oxford before realizing it was a thankless job. Now he works in finance, and his yearly bonus alone is more than I have earned in my entire career. Story 51. She is in and out of Gaza and South Sudan, working for the United Nations Children's Fund in the Children's Agency. Brave, but I do not envy what she has had to witness. Story 52. He received 7 years in prison for robbing a gun store. He got away completely clean only to be betrayed by his girlfriend. Now he is a coder or something related to computers. Story 53. He is very wealthy because of his information technology firm, but as a person, he became so unpleasant that his only friends are financially dependent on him. Everyone who earns enough without his help leaves him. He has at least 2 children with a loving woman but divorced her after forcing her to have a second child. He is still moving from one relationship to another with people interested in his money. Story 54. He had a very eccentric family with a long, complicated history I will not go into, but academically he did well, earning an undergraduate and a master's degree in industrial engineering. He has been working on a Doctor of Philosophy degree for years now. Professionally, he has always had good engineering jobs. Once working from home became an option, he decided he wanted to retire early, so he took on 3 full-time jobs. He regularly works 70 to 80 hours per week, juggling these 3 positions. He negotiates for additional vacation time so he can take 1 week off every month from each job, alternating those weeks to reduce the overlap of responsibilities. He has a complete computer and monitor setup that allows him to work while lying in bed all day and week. His health is poor, He went from being a fairly athletic person to a sedentary individual weighing approximately 350 pounds. Socially, he was always somewhat awkward, but this worsened as he got older. He still makes an effort to come out when we get together. He goes to concerts, still plays golf, and takes at least one international trip every year. He is very generous and often pays the entire bill when we go out to eat. He gave me a free ticket to the United States Open Golf Championship last year. I think he is content, if not happy. Story 55. Our high school class is super charismatic straight-A genius, and one of my best friends during our senior year fell into a roadside religious cult a month after graduation. He vanished for a week, then reappeared as a homeless person, bouncing between jail and the streets for the next decade, after which I lost track of him. That was 40 years ago, and it still hurts to think about it. Story 56. He jumped off the roof of the hospital where he worked as a doctor. He died at 28. I believe there was a combination of immense pressure to succeed from his father and a traumatic brain injury he sustained when a cow kicked him in the head on the farm where he grew up. I still think about him often. Story 57. Graduated magna cum laude in state undergraduate studies. Received a full scholarship to the London School of Economics. Completed a Master of Science and a Doctor of Philosophy there. Now owns multiple audio engineering companies. Story 58. Valedictorian of my high school. After high school, he got into bodybuilding and used steroids to get muscular. In college, he partied a lot and smoked methamphetamine. He got his life together and went to medical school. Now he is a doctor. Story 59. She earned a Doctor of Philosophy in chemistry. She is a college professor and designs and teaches children science, technology, engineering, and mathematics courses in the summer. She is in her second marriage to an amazing man. She is a wonderful mother to 2 children and remains the smartest, kindest, and most forgetful person in our friend group. Story 60. Graduated with a Doctor of Philosophy in machine learning earlier this year. Just signed with Meta as a research scientist. Really proud of him. Story 61. Top of the class valedictorian, aced his first year of university. Then the second year he started partying a lot. He just barely graduated and is now jumping from job to job, working as a cashier. He could have easily been an engineer. He was exceptionally smart in mathematics and chemistry. Story 62. Actually, that was me. I am studying nutritional science now. Currently, I am doing an exchange year in South Korea. New group, but still the smart friend. Story 63. I think many people tend to answer this question by naming their most successful friend. I will take a different approach and share what happened to my smartest friend growing up. He ended up in jail after attempting a large-scale heist as a kid. Now, he is in and out of prison but still lives in the small town where we grew up. He was one of the smartest people I know. He grew up with an absent father and a mother struggling with drug addiction in a poor rural town. Story 64. I'm doing quite well. Thank you very much. Bachelor's degree, master's degree. Then constant, steady, fulfilling employment for 32 years now. Good amount of savings. Married. Children are grown and doing well. Story 65. Failed liver due to alcoholism. A great man. I believe he struggled to meet his parents' expectations. Story 66. A tale of 2 cities, 2 men from a small town in Canada. My 2 best friends, Ray and Derek. Ray, a talented musical accompanist, guitarist, and pianist, straight-A student. Married his high school sweetheart Nessa, his friend's sister. They moved to New York, worked in museums and artistic places, both moderately successful at first, then very successful. They had no children. She did not want kids, but Ray did. They divorced due to this issue, no other complications. She moved to Chicago, working in artistic jobs focused on design, gained some fame later when she did the sets for Second City. Nessa is content and semi-retired now. She met a new partner last year. Ray then moved from New York to Quebec City, Toronto, and then London, where he lived and worked as a graphic designer for Pentagram and Imagination, later settling in Berlin. While on holiday in Greece in 2023, Ray died in the Tempe train crash. Derek, a highly creative painter, poet, songwriter, folk singer, and guitarist, was also a straight-A student. He was very competitively friendly with Ray. He married his high school sweetheart Renee but struggled when they moved to New York, trying to make a living as artists and musicians. Derek got involved in the challenges of big city life, became vulnerable, and was taken advantage of, resulting in a divorce from Renee. He then married a new partner and had 2 children, Jay and Jay. The new partner was not supportive and a poor mother. Renee took pity on Derek and, when he became ill, remarried him. She helped care for the children somewhat, though not enough. Renee was a great but complicated person, with small-town ambitions as a schoolteacher who became involved with another staff member. Derek's mother ended up raising the 2 children when Derek was ill. Derek died young at 39 from a rare illness, partly because he had no health insurance and sought medical help too late. Renee was devastated by his death. She had loved him even before high school. She did right by his children despite a major mistake early on when she gave away Derek's art, records, and guitars instead of keeping them for the children. Despite trying, I have never been able to let that go, as the unofficial uncle to J and J. Story 67. Deceased at 47 years old. He was found dead in his apartment due to a fall and a likely subsequent subdural hematoma. He was a functioning alcoholic, but it is unclear if that caused his fall. Story 68. They get bored being the smartest and want to have a normal life. I know entrepreneurs, politicians, and academicians from my friend group. Story 69. Addicted to drugs and alcohol. I have never seen anyone be able to get so many high-paying jobs and then just leave. Story 70. My friends would tell you it is me. I did okay but never lived up to my potential. I guess it is not too late. Story 71. It's me. I earn the least because I am eternally depressed or focused on my own interests. I don't care about money or status. Story 72. He's my brother-in-law and an honest-to-God rocket scientist. A good man with the superpower I like to call guaranteed competence. Give him something and a few hours and he can probably work out a solution. His extracurricular activities include collecting general aviation pilot certificates. I think I exaggerate, but he is on his 3rd, rock climbing, and working on his plane and Porsche where it makes sense. I've known a decent number of geniuses, and of all of them, his ability to utilize his intelligence is unmatched. Story 73. I am doing pretty well. Married with 2 children. Great job. Could use more friends. Otherwise pretty happy. Story 74. He went to university unsupervised by his parents, discovered how much he liked alcohol, and failed out. Story 75. She got pregnant in high school and dropped out. I think she has her general educational development credential now, and 3 beautiful children. She had teachers trying to get her to enroll in college classes as an 8th grader. I was so jealous at the time. In hindsight, I wish I had been more supportive, but she was always more focused on boys and starting a family. To each their own, but I always wonder what she could have become. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.